Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Y'all watching the Grind Ethics mixtape show, and I'm your host, Victory Bx Supreme Promoter. Basically, you know what I mean? Know what I'm saying? Basically. Yo, what up? What up? Thank y'all for watching this episode of the Grind Ethics mixtape show. I'm your host once again, Victory Bx Supreme Promoter. Yo, big shout outs to my sponsor, a Yamaha Naturals. That sent me this nice shirt. It's kind of tight. Yamaha Naturals, man. Please send me another shirt. This shit look tight, man. I'm 43 years old. I'm not 23. I'm not one of these. I'm still young, but I'm not these young niggas that like wearing tight shit. Like this shit is like hugging my arms and shit. You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't have to be baggy. Mad baggy, but loose, not too tight, just right, Anyway, big shout out to Yamaha Naturals for sending me this nice t-shirt right here. For those people who are health nuts or want to be health nuts, Yamaha Naturals, they sell slamming sea moss, different flavors. They got the berry juice, and they also got the natural Viagra for them impotent niggas or niggas who can't get it up or people who can't get it up. Let me stop using the N-word. People who can't get it up. The bedroom bully. They also got the bedroom bully version. You know what I'm saying? The big shots are Yamaha Naturals. They're also on YouTube. Oh no, Instagram. You can follow them on Instagram. This is the logo right here. All right. But yeah, man. Oh yeah, anybody that like this episode, the Grind Ethics Mixtape Show, yo, follow me on Instagram. I got 2 Instagram accounts, Grind Ethics Mixtape Show and Grind Ethics Media. Also, share, like, subscribe, because I'm trying to, and also when you subscribe, ring the bell. I'm driving to build up this fan base, man. You know what I'm saying? Also, if you really like this show, I'll be very grateful if anyone could hit me off with a friendly donation. The link is Grind Ethics Cash App. Also, I'm on Grind Ethics PayPal. No, Grind Ethics Media at PayPal. All right, that's Grind Ethics Media at PayPal. What was I going to talk about today? Today, I'm going to talk about the gems that I learned or life lessons from the movie Last Dragon. Yes. This is not a movie review or throwback movie review. I'm just telling y'all the things that I learned and or noticed by watching the movie Last Dragon. I watched. I had to watch that movie like thousands of times. I've been watching that movie since I was a kid, since the 80s. Okay, and I'm 43 years old. I can't get enough of Last Dragon, and plus they don't play that movie enough. And then on YouTube, you have to pay to see it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't feel like paying to see it. But when I do see it, it's also I'll be getting like new things new things be coming into me. Like I've been learning new lessons from the movie Last Dragon, things I didn't realize before, and things that like the way the world is. You could see that in the movie Last Dragon. You could apply the movie Last Dragon to the life that we live in, and to the Matrix that we live in too. You know what I'm saying? Because the Matrix is not based on reality. It's based on fake shit, right? We know this already. But yeah, man, I like the movie Last Dragon. That's my favorite martial arts movie. And one thing I like about The Last Dragon, one of my favorite parts or one of my favorite scenes from The Last Dragon is when Bruce Leroy was in the movie theater. In the beginning of the movie, he was in the movie theater, right? Just chilling, watching Bruce Leroy, watching Enter the Dragon, right? And then all of a sudden, Shonuff comes in out of nowhere with his peoples, with his crew. And remind you, Bruce Lee is by himself. He's not with a crew of niggas. Okay? He's by himself, chilling, right? And Shonuff comes in the movie theater, all big and macho, and you know what I'm saying? And he wants to flex his muscles and let everybody know that he's a man, that he's big and bad, well, whatever. And then this little kid say that, I know who could beat you. Bruce Leroy. He was like, Bruce Leroy? Bruce Leroy? Oh, I heard about you. And he was making fun of him, mocking him, and talking about catching bullets with your teeth. What are you talking about? It's people like you that give martial artists a bad name. But really, it's people like Shonuff that give martial artists a bad name. Because martial arts is not based on that macho, I'm better than everybody and I could beat the whole world type of mindset. No. Like, Shonuff really thought that he could beat the whole world. That was his problem, right? And martial arts is not about that. It's not about portraying yourself or promoting yourself like you're a big bag mother effer. You know what I'm saying? It's not about that, right? So Shonuff was trying to fight Bruce Leroy because he wanted to test his skills. He wanted to know, he wanted to see if he could beat Bruce Leroy. To me, it seemed like Shonuff. Okay, I'll get back to that later. Anyway, for those who didn't see The Last Dragon, Shonuff wanted to fight Bruce Leroy because he heard Bruce Leroy was one of the baddest or most dangerous martial artists in town, right? But Bruce Leroy don't care about being the baddest or the most dangerous martial artist. His whole thing was to elevate his mind and look for the master. That's what he was focused on, is elevating his mind and looking for the so-called master, which he didn't know yet that he is the master, but that's later on in the movie. But Bruce Leroy, you got to peep it again. You got to think about the movie. Bruce Leroy was such a humble brother, so humble. He didn't care about beating nobody up. He didn't care about that. He just wants to elevate. That's it. And Shonuff was too busy being macho. And Bruce Leroy, he didn't see. Bruce Leroy was so confident in his own skills. He already knew he could beat up Shonuff. Even before the end of the movie, when he actually did beat up Shonuff, he already knew in the beginning of the movie that he could beat up Shonuff. See, me, I didn't notice that he knew already that he could beat up Shonuff. But he wasn't focused on that. You know what I'm saying? He didn't care about that. Because Bruce Leroy wasn't guided by ego. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't guided by ego. He was a brother that lived in the flow state. You know what I'm saying? He lived that Buddha monk type of life, right? So after a while in the movie, in that same scene, Shonuff was fighting mad people in the movie theater. He was beating up mad people. And Bruce Leroy just simply got up and left. And then Shonuff, he yelled at Bruce Leroy. He's like, Leroy, this is not the end, Leroy. Blah, 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 blah. And Leroy just looked at Shonuff for a few seconds, turned his head, and left the door. Yo, that was my favorite scene in the whole movie. I swear, because the way Bruce Leroy left the movie theater, like on some smooth shit, like he knew he could beat Shonuff, but he didn't care about that. He was like, man, listen, I'm out of here. This is disturbing my peace. I'm out of here. And he looked at Shonuff for a few seconds. Yo, the way he looked, but I didn't notice that when I was a kid. I didn't notice that many years watching Bruce Leroy, I didn't notice how he looked at him. Like, he was just so humble, he didn't give a fuck. Like, fuck it, I'm out of here. Like, it was so smooth the way he did that. The way he just left the fucking room, you know? And this is how a lot of hood niggas need to be. Forget about a nigga calling you pussy and thinking that you soft or whatever. Walk away. Like, you know, it's not even worth it. You know what I'm saying? But sure enough, was just an egomaniac, too macho, too alpha male, way too alpha male. And to me, not that I think of it, sure enough was really an insecure nigga. You know, because people like that, for the most part, who just act big and bad and think that they could beat up the whole world and just sure enough he had too much to prove. Too much to prove. You know, he was looking for too much validation. That's why I feel like sure enough in the movie, they didn't show it in the movie, but I feel like sure enough was just insecure. Deep down, he was just an insecure dude. That he had to show and prove how big and bad he is he wants to show and prove how big and bad he is, and he wants other people to know how big and bad he is for validation. Without validation, sure enough can't live. It seemed like, but Bruce Leroy don't need no validation. You don't need to congratulate Bruce Leroy. You don't need to be like, yo, I'm proud of you, Bruce Leroy. You need to tell Bruce Leroy, yo, you're the baddest martial artist in town. He don't care about none of that. He don't care about compliments. He just wants to elevate. That's his whole thing. It's to improve himself as a person. That's it. You know? But sure enough got too much to socially prove. You know what I'm saying? Because people like that, you know, it's like they're easy to manipulate. Sure enough, a sure enough character. Easy to manipulate. Easy to direct. Oh, man. Easy to pimp. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was too macho in that movie. Too alpha male. Too hard. Too hard. But Bruce Leroy, he wasn't. In the beginning of the movie, he was showing a lot of his softness, his relaxed side, but it doesn't mean his pussy. Don't get it wrong. You know, you already see in the movie, Bruce Leroy show his fire. He had more than a couple of fights in the movie, right? But Bruce Leroy, he's soft and hard. See, you got to be soft and hard in this world. That's why I got from the movie that you have to, in this world, you have to be soft and hard. You can't just be soft and you can't just be hard. You got to be both. You got to be both. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't. You can't just be one thing. But Bruce Leroy, you know, that's what I got from the movie. That all that, and sure enough, yeah, I was about to say, sure enough was like like a metaphor or analogy for how the world is, the world that we live in, or the structure that we live under. He was just an analogy or representative of the world that we live in, the toxic, the hard, the negative world that we live in, where people always forcing you to do something that you don't want to do. Always telling you, you got to do this. You got to do that to get this. You got to do this to get this. You got to do this. Dumb shit. Oh, you got to wear the fly sneakers, my nigga. Like back when I was younger, Cass used to tell me, yo, Victor, you got to wear the flyest sneakers, my nigga, to get the pussy. You know, girls ain't going to fuck with you if you ain't got the flyest sneakers. And this is when I was in my 20s, not even in my high school years. And even in that time, I'm like, even when I was a little materialistic in those days, in my head, I'm like, still in my head, I'm like, why would I want to fuck with a girl that want to fuck with me because I got the flyest sneakers on? It would be an insult to my own intelligence, even putting my dick in a woman like that. I'll be insulting my own intelligence, putting my dick in a woman like that. No. You know? But back in those days, as long as the girl had a fat ass, I didn't give a fuck. Oh man. But yeah, man, going back to that. Yeah, sure enough, he represent the hardness of the world, the toxic world we live in, the principles that we live that we think is right, but it's not really right. That's what sure enough represent. You know, making your parents proud, making people in your circle proud, but yourself. You know, that comes along with the world that we live in. You think that you're doing right, doing good by living up to what your parents want you to do or living up to the standards of your circle. As far as you may be going college, get a degree, even though you don't want to go to college, becoming a doctor, even though you don't want to become a doctor, you're doing what the world's telling you to do because the world is hard. And the world is designed to enslave you. That's what Show Enough represents. He represents the toxic world, the fucked up world that we live in, where people die and kill themselves, drain themselves mentally and physically just to impress the world or just to live to the standards of the world, you know, or just to constantly live up to other people's validation, which don't matter. Bruce Leroy represents the world or the individual that don't give a fuck. That don't give a fuck about nobody's validation. That don't care about nobody's congratulations or I'm proud of you. It's nice for somebody to say congratulations or I'm proud of you, but do a nigga like me, do I seek for that? No, I don't. I don't. You know, Bruce Leroy was so confident in him, even though he didn't know in the beginning in the movie, he didn't know that he's the master. Yet in the movie, or in the beginning of the movie, still Bruce Leroy was just mad confident. He was so comfortable under his skin. He didn't care about what most people cared about. He was detached to a lot of things. Like in the movie, he wore the same clothes every scene in the damn movie. Because he didn't wear no jewelry. He didn't wear no he didn't have no fancy car. He didn't even have a car. He walked everywhere he went. And he didn't care about what most people cared about. His little brother did. His little brother Richie. His little brother was a materialistic nigga. See, his little brother was a brother. He also represent the toxic world we live in, the materialistic world. His brother was materialistic. And he cared about what other people, think about him. Just like in the movie, when Bruce Leroy wanted to see Vanity, and he wanted Richie, his little brother, to help him, but little Richie didn't want people to know that Bruce Leroy is his brother, because Bruce Leroy, he's a different character. He's not like everybody else. So he was embarrassed for people to know. Embarrassed to people. He would be embarrassed if people find out that this so-called lame guy is his brother. You know what I'm saying? But really, Richie was the lame guy. His little brother was lame. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's how it is, though. That's how the world is. You think, even when I was younger, right? Or even probably when you was younger, you hung out with the coolest cat in school, but now that you older, you figure out the coolest cats that you hung out with school were really lames. Yeah, they got pussy, but they were lames. They were lames. Because they cared too much about validation, social validation. They cared too much about, I don't want nobody to see me selling waters. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go down a block. I'm gonna go post up. Matter of fact, I'm gonna post up 3 blocks from now, 3 blocks away, so nobody that I know won't see me selling waters. You know what I'm saying? People like that, like you care so much, you catching a heart attack. But watch Last Dragon again. Do yourself a favor, for those who like to learn. Watch Last Dragon again, and you'll see the gems that I'm talking about, and apply it to the world that we live in. Oh, damn, it's almost 20 minutes. I promised myself this is going to be like maybe no more than 15. Well, it's whatever. But yeah, man. I love that movie, Last Dragon. What else? I might have to do a part 2 to this. Because my Last Dragon got so many damn gems, so many subliminal messages that, yo, so many subliminal messages, man, that I'm just not, and I've been seeing that movie for over 30 years. Over 30 years, and I'm still now, not now the stuff that I broke down to you, I just figured this shit out a few days ago when I was thinking about Last Dragon. Like, oh shoot, sure enough, it's like the world that we live in, and Bruce Leroy is like the guy or the analogy or the representative of a person who's detached from worldly things. You know what I'm saying? Detached. Because you already see in the movie Last Dragon, like I said, Bruce Leroy was detached. Matter of fact, even in the movie, in the beginning of the movie, when Shonuff was making fun of Last Dragon, when he was making fun of Bruce Leroy, when Shonuff heard that when he heard the rumor that Bruce Leroy could catch bullets with his teeth, right? Bruce Leroy broke it down. He broke down the signs to him on some Buddha monk Shaolin shit. He was like, yo, listen. He was so, I forgot what he exactly said, but one thing I remember that he said is you have to be attached from things, from worldly possessions, from worldly things. That's how you could catch a bullet with your teeth, is by focusing on elevating and not focusing on things you ain't supposed to be focusing on. Some shit to that effect. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I like that movie Last Dragon. I love it. I'm gonna see it again for the millionth time. I don't care. Because every time I see that movie, it's like later on in life, I'm getting stuff that, you know. Also, I learned from the Last Dragon. In the movie Last Dragon, Bruce Leroy is running around looking for the master, but didn't know all this time that he is the master. I mean, for crying out loud, he could catch bullets with his teeth and catch arrows with his hand. Like you see in the beginning of the movie when he caught arrows with his hand, and his teacher was like, how did you did that? You know what I'm saying? By not thinking. He didn't think. You know what I'm saying? He just did that. You know what I mean? But even his teacher was like, he was like, you looked everywhere for the master, but you forgot to look in one place. He even pointed at his head. His teacher even pointed at his forehead. And Bruce Leroy still didn't get it. He still didn't get that he's the master, or didn't figure out that he's the master. He was like, oh, duh, like what are you talking about? But Bruce Leroy, even though Bruce Leroy was a confident person, real humble and detached from worldly things, he still represent a person that was kind of lost. Because you out here looking, he also represent a person that's running around looking for something that don't exist, looking for an illusion, and looking for something great, or looking for something greater outside of himself, until he found out that he is great and that he is the master. You know what I'm saying? And then when he almost got beat up, when he had that toe-to-toe match with Shonuff, which is one of my other favorite scenes. Oh man, that was one of my favorite scenes ever. But anyway, when he was going toe-to-toe with Shonuff, and Shonuff was drowning his head in the pool of water, and he's asking him, "Who's the master? Who's the master?" And it took Bruce Leroy to go through some discomfort. It took him some hurt, some pain, because when this dude Shonuff was kind of beating him up, he was going through some physical pain. He felt it, but it took him that pain, that struggle, to beat Shonuff, to figure out that he is the master. And when he found out that he is the master, he fucked that nigga up. Shonuff was dead. Was Shonuff did Shonuff died in that movie? I was wondering for all these years, for 30 years, for over 30 years now. Somebody answer that for me? Did Bruce Leroy actually kill Shonuff? Did he actually kill them, or was he just drowning? Or I mean, was he just unconscious for a while, or was he just? I don't know. somebody tell me. Somebody tell me. I don't know, but yeah, man. But he found out that he is the master, and he became more confident, confident on top of confidence, and still humble, and still humble, and still not guided by ego. You know what I'm saying? That's why I love the movie, man. That was an ill movie. And the soundtrack, when I listen to the soundtrack, sometimes that should be making me cry inside because there's such gloriness in the soundtrack. You know, Got to Glow, the soundtrack movie. The soundtrack song to The Last Dragon. Last Dragon, the soundtrack song to the movie. Yo, after the show, listen to those two soundtrack songs. It will make you want to cry inside. It'll make you want to take over the world or beat up somebody. Anyway, I'm out. Yo, what jewels or what gems or what life lessons did you get from Last Dragon? And from your entrepreneurs, what lessons or what entrepreneur lessons did you get from the movie Last Dragon? Even though the movie had nothing to do with business and all that, entrepreneurship, there's some entrepreneurship lessons in that movie. If you're an entrepreneur, tell me what entrepreneur lessons you learned from that movie, or tell me, like I said, in general, what gems or what lessons in general what life lessons you learned from Last Dragon, the movie. Anyway, I'm out. If anyone liked this episode of if anyone liked this episode of The Last Dragon, if anyone liked this episode of the Grind Ethiks Mixtape Show, I'll be very grateful if anyone could drop me a friendly donation. The link is Grind Ethiks Cash App and also Grind Ethiks Media at PayPal. I'm out. And remember, peoples, and thank you too. And remember, peoples, tell a friend and tell a friend. That's all about the motherfucking grind, basically.